Welcome to the Rutherford Method. I'm James Rutherford and I love talking to inspirational people from all walks of life. From athletes to stay-at-home mothers, everyone has a story to tell. Today I'm joined by Jermaine Downs. Jermaine is just coming off a black belt grading for Kyokushin Karate. He's an amazingly humble guy with a young family and it was an absolute blast to chat to him. All right, Jermaine Downs, good sir. How are you?
Fantastic.
Been a long time coming, this podcast. I intentionally haven't spoken to you about your grading since you did it 3 weeks ago now, 3.5 weeks, nearly 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
So very excited to crack into this and find out all the ins and outs of how it actually went for you. Tell us a bit about yourself and your karate history and how it sort of all begun for you.
Okay, so I am originally from New Zealand, and if anyone knows New Zealand well, it's a rugby union mad country. Everybody and their son wants to be an All Black.
Yep.
And of course, I also fell into that category.
Yep.
All my friends were playing rugby union, and so of course I had to.
Yep.
And so most of my childhood and teen years, and even up into my 20s, into my late 20s, I played rugby union for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
So sporting-wise, that was mostly what I did. Martial arts didn't really come into my thinking until...
Wasn't even in on the radar?
Not seriously, no. I mean, I watch movies,
yeah.
and you know, watching
Every
Jackie
kid does,
Chan and Bruce Lee, and that'd be cool to do, you know.
Yep.
One day.
Yeah.
But I was too busy playing rugby with my friends, and and then I moved to Australia.
Yes.
Moved to Brisbane, and I got to working with a guy that I met who ran a Kyokushin dojo.
Yes.
And he jokingly said to me, why don't you come along and train and try it out, see how you like it?
Yep.
And I was a bit hesitant. And
so this is obviously Rob James?
No, this is another guy.
Okay.
I won't name names.
Okay, all right.
And
we'll call him Instructor A?
Yeah, something like that. And he kept hassling me for a while and said, I think you'd be great. You look like you'd fit in well. And,
yes.
So I went along. I didn't really think much of it, and I kept going back, and it kept getting better.
Yes.
You know, and I started to enjoy it. And martial arts started from there, basically. I mean, it branched away from that initial guy.
Yes.
After 6 months or so, but.
So what year was that when you first started?
That was at the tail end of 2011.
Yes.
I think it was November 2011. And then that continued up till, I think it was April or May 2012.
Yep.
And then things didn't end so well then. I won't go into details. Yeah. Why?
So I was just looking for another dojo then?
Well, I
we just went cold turkey?
Yeah, just left it at that. I thought, it's not meant to be. I won't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
And at that time, or before that time, I'd actually met my current instructor, current sensei, Rob. And he had told me he used to run a dojo when he was a lot younger. And I thought, that's cool, you know.
So he wasn't currently training then?
No, he hadn't trained for, I don't know how long, since the early 90s, I think.
Okay.
And he had mentioned that to me. I thought, that's cool. Why don't you thought about getting back into training? And he said, no, that part of my life's done.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
And...
what a 180. We're all done.
Oh, I know. And so me, myself, and this other instructor that I was going to at the time got on to Rob.
Yep.
Come on, come and get into it. It's
Bit
awesome.
of arm twisting.
Yeah, and he eventually come along.
Yes.
Which was good. And, all three of us were sort of hanging out, and we were also working together as well.
Okay.
So that was kind of a good and a bad thing. We saw each other all the time. All the time.
Yep.
And, so I met Rob that way. And when I had stopped training with that first instructor, Rob had gotten back into it, like I just mentioned, and a few months down the track, I think it was September 2012, he put it out there, I'm starting up training
officially.
again.
Yeah, okay.
Officially.
So when it was just the three of you, was it an official dojo or was it someone's garage? What was it?
It was a proper dojo.
Yep.
Like it was a proper setup.
Yep.
So it was already established
Okay.
before myself and Rob
Yes.
went there. So he had students and everything like that, and he had been instructing for a while.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know before we went. We didn't really know his style of
Sure.
how he taught and all of that. I mean, we sort of knew him as a person.
Okay.
And we kind of gauged, what he might be like.
The quality and so forth.
Yeah.
So was it Kyokushin?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, initially I liked it. I really liked it, and I thought, this is great.
Yep.
It had the right amount of physicality, I thought,
Yes.
that I wanted.
Yep.
It wasn't just us standing around talking all the time and, doing a lot of impractical things. Like we'd get work to the bone.
Yeah, okay.
And I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
But in saying that, I think I've kind of liked that with any sort of sports that I've done, like whether it be at school or rugby union.
Just
like
the
I was
physical
saying.
hardship and demands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not really one for talking a lot, I don't think.
Yeah.
As you might
I've
know.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Hard to get this amount out of you. In regards to the martial arts, you touched on a bit of it there. What else drew you to it?
I watching the movies and that of the Bruce Lees and Jackie Chan's and Jet Lees over the years. Looking at it, I thought, well, these guys are they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like not just actors.
Yes.
And
the
martial
choreographed
artists.
scenes and things like that.
I mean that was pretty obvious. That it was set up for the movies and such, but I thought of it in a physical sense. How much have these guys gone to get to this point to be this good? And I used to think, wow, that'd be great to do something like that, to see how not how far I could go, but what my limits are.
Yes.
And it was sort of just in the back of my mind because I was busy doing other things. And I think I must have been 18 or 19, and I went to a Kung Fu studio, maybe you'd call it, a class.
Queen.
Yes. And I sat down and had a look, and I thought, oh, this would be great to get into just for a start.
So one thing I've got to ask about the movies you watched, was it primarily Chinese martial artists?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think there was too much Japanese stuff. Although the Japanese stuff that I did watch, it was all ninjas.
Yes,
It
okay.
was all,
There's nothing else though, is there?
Well, that's right. It was a great laugh, and I kind of watched that stuff when I was quite young, and it was a bit comical. And,
Yeah.
about assassins and that sort of thing. So, so I went along to this what do I call it?
The Queen, the dojo, the training centre, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. And I watched them do their thing, and I thought, yeah, this is awesome. It's just like all the movies and that.
Yep.
They're doing all these moves and they're sweating and all of that. But then they started doing like sword demonstrations and stuff, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'm not really into that just yet. I just want to.
Was it the weapons in particular, or was it the style, or what was it?
Oh, I think it was a bit of both.
Yep.
You know, I kind of wasn't expecting it as well.
Okay.
And
because to put that into perspective, where you are now, you're happily an open book, aren't you? You look at anything, any weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is it perhaps coming at it with that young mindset to build that foundation of, I want to be a physical weapon before sort of putting other tools on my belt?
Yeah, well, I never thought of it like that at all.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something. I didn't kind of care what it was. To a point.
Yes.
You know, I hadn't even thought about other martial arts like judo or jiu-jitsu or anything like that. Just because I hadn't been exposed to it at all.
Yeah.
And like I said, watching movies, it was all kung fu and some karate.
Growing up as a young kid in NZ, was kung fu all there was? Or was that checked in the yellow pages or whatever it was then, and that was the first thing that came up? Or was it friends that told you about it?
I think the first time I heard about it, I must have been perhaps 8 or 9.
Okay.
And some friends of mine were doing karate at the local community centre, and they had asked me and my younger brother to come along, and I was quite a shy, withdrawn child.
Yeah.
And I flat out said, no, I don't want to do it. You know, that's like standing up in front of everyone and doing stuff. No. And my brother is quite the opposite, and he gladly jumped at it.
Okay.
He just thought it was a bit of fun, and he's a bit out there and loves doing that sort of stuff. And I went down for a look anyway, and it was interesting. You know, the way everything worked, and the class itself. It was a children's class.
Yes.
That was there, but that was the first time I remember being exposed to it. Yeah.
Does your brother still do it?
No.
Okay.
No, he didn't last long.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he may have gained one belt.
Yeah.
And then
found something else.
Got bored after that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he played rugby league after that or something.
Right. Would you say your training in Kyokushin has changed the way you look at your overall health and fitness, even your mental well-being and everything like that? I say that because one thing I noticed when I took a few years off, there's this void that is just missing. And then obviously when I started it back up, suddenly you feel like that little completion is back into your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for having done it close to 7 years, I mean, I know it's not a long time, but it's long for me. There have been times during that time where I have stopped training for a number of months, and there's certainly a void there. Yeah. But I've found myself trying to fill it with other things. Yes. And it wasn't quite the same, not physically, and probably not until now or recently I've realised it didn't kind of fulfill me mentally, the other things I was doing. I mean, it wasn't another martial art or anything, but just
whatever you fill that hole with, it's not always going to tick the same boxes, is it?
No. And like you say, when you start back up, you feel that.
Yeah, like as soon as you walk on the floor, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
something comes back there.
Yep.
And most people who probably haven't done martial arts would then argue, well, it could be anything. Like if you went hang gliding, for example, which I guess it's all about finding your sort of zen, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But I firmly believe there's something about not necessarily dedicating your life to something, but certainly a large part of yourself in bettering your own, refining your whole personality and trying to better your own product out of the end of it. I think there's something to be said about that.
For sure.
that eating cheeseburgers can't do. What is your... We'll start off. What's your least favourite aspect of training in general?
Oh, least favourites.
And by saying least favourite doesn't necessarily mean you hate it with a passion. It could just be some minor annoyance because in your overall scheme of things you enjoy training.
Yeah. Least favourite. As of late, trying to teach. Trying to slow the class down, gather everyone around and demonstrate how a technique should go.
Yes.
I just have trouble translating that from my mind out into my hands and feet and out to everybody else.
Yes.
It's obviously something I've only recently started doing a bit more
Having to build upon that skill.
Yeah. And over time, I'm sure I'll improve.
No doubt. Yeah.
It just takes time and repetition.
Yes.
But at the moment, and as actually from day dot up until now, that's probably my least favourite part.
Yeah, okay.
Even though I, as part of my training, I have to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that will help me improve as a martial artist and a person, just to be able to find a way to communicate what's upstairs to
absolutely
to out here.
Yeah. And then it could be said it flows into so many other areas of life too, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not just teaching a class of any technique, but conveying ideas and messages and all that sort of good stuff.
Yes.
So on the flip side, what's your favourite aspect of training? Besides your rest days.
I love a good sweat session.
Okay.
Like just going in there and pumping a good solid session out.
Yep.
Whether that's basic technique.
Yep, just hundreds of front kicks or something. Yeah.
For an hour and a half.
Yep.
Or mixing it up, some sort of circuit class going on, or it could be sparring all night.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, just trying to physically push yourself.
Yes.
I like to think I thrive on that sort of a environment. There's just something about it I love.
So hacking into that more, what is it about that? You say there's something about it you love. Specifically, what group of emotions are there, or what's the driving factor behind that? Obviously you can pull out if the competitive nature of you comes out. Yes, you want everyone else to break before you do. That's a bit of a masculine thing.
Yeah. That's part of it. Over probably the last 2 to 3 years, I've thought about this a lot, and for myself, I just wanted to do better than last time. I wanted to be better than yesterday.
Yes.
So,
just improving 1% every day.
Yeah, just moving up.
Yep.
Just going forward. And every time I got into a really physical training or class, I just wanted to do better and better and better. Whether I was having a terrible day and I wanted to do better than how I was feeling at the start of class, or do 100 more kicks than the previous night's training.
Yep.
I just wanted to do better. I mean, it wasn't like that at the start.
It's fun, isn't it? You start and it's almost a hobby, and then at some point, it's obviously different for everyone, but it flicks over from that hobby to a lifestyle. I think that's what we touched on before, where that void becomes very real if you walk away from it. Mm-hmm. That is that translation from hobby to lifestyle, where you notice something's not there anymore. Yep, definitely. Yeah. We'll go again, least favourite technique in the current Kyokushin syllabus. Now, it doesn't have to be one you don't feel you're as competent as another technique. Yeah, because I know for several of the martial arts systems I've done, there are absolute bullshit, bogus techniques you'd never catch me doing. They might be effective for someone else.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it. Least favourite technique.
Least favourite. Ooh. This is a tough one. I haven't really thought about
Or
this.
one that particularly doesn't work for you. That's the other way of...
Do you mean working at the time, or putting a practical application to it? Or anything?
Anything at all.
Okay. I don't particularly like...
We'll just beep this part over.
Yes, we will. A lot of the... how do I say this? I was going to say kicks, but they're more something that I like doing, but I'm just not terribly good at. This is a tough one, James.
We'll come back to it. I'll go with
Yes.
What's your favourite technique then?
Favourite. I like a good Muwashi-geri. I'm not particularly flexible at this time to continually do Jordan Muwashi-geri, but further down the body, yeah, sure.
Okay.
So
any turning, any roundhouse kick?
I think so.
Yep.
At the moment.
Okay.
I might change my mind tomorrow.
That's all right.
There's just something about it I like.
Isn't it funny, because most people I talk to about Kyokushin, even people in Japan I've spoken to about it, the signature technique is the Gida Moshigiri. So that's a roundhouse kick to the legs, the thigh kick. Yeah. And it's a fight ender. Yeah. You land a solid shin into that meaty part of the thigh, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably wasn't my favourite to start with. I think I was, pretty average at it.
Isn't that funny though? Because that can be the bit of the Hollywood influence as well. In movies, they only throw kicks to the head. They make all these fancy looking kicks, but from a practical point of view, you don't have to be flexible to land this kick.
No.
In a practical sense, if it misses and you're going like the inside, it can hit someone in the groin, which is equally as effective. Yeah. You can hit the knee joint. Yep. Obviously, you can hit inside the femoral. Yeah. There's a lot of applications for it.
And I think for myself, being a shorter person, it probably suits me a bit better.
Yes.
Because, the average height is above mine. So, I like to think that this suits my body type better, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So on the flip side, least favourite technique, you did mention kicks there. What kicks wouldn't sort of be on your radar?
Oh, particularly, and this is probably because I don't spend a lot of time on them.
Which we're going to come up to as well.
Yes.
I'm going to add something to that.
Yep. I think anything spinning.
Okay.
That's not to say I would never be good at it.
It's all repetition though, isn't it?
It is. And I've myself neglected that over my entire training time.
But it is quite an advanced technique as well. It's not like...
It is.
You graduate from round kicks to front kicks, and then suddenly you're lumped in, all right, let's start doing spinning kicks and back kicks and turning backside kicks and things like that.
Yeah. I have spent time on it, obviously. I'm not completely... haven't completely ignored them, but there's just parts of it that I find difficult, like the balance and the rotating your top half and then looking
Yes.
first. And I just find that all a bit...
It's tricky, isn't it?
Well, not strange. Yeah, tricky.
But in comparison, when you've got a simple technique like a Gitamosh, look, knee up, engage that hip, drive through the target, suddenly you're adding another 4 or 5 steps to that technique.
Yes.
When already a solid leg kick is such a great technique, why do you need a spinning kick sort of thing?
Well, that has crossed my mind as well, and that maybe that has sort of prevented me from...
Influence your decision.
Yeah.
And the other thing, from my very short time training with Sensei Rob, and this is not a critique on him, possibly a critique on the Kima organisation, is they don't seem to spend a great deal of time on lower body techniques.
No.
Has that changed in the 7 years you've been under the Kima banner? Or have you noticed it comes in ebbs and flows?
I think ebbs and flows.
Okay.
Because how we train up here is a little different to down in Sydney.
Of course.
And so the times I've been to Sydney for seminars or for gradings, it changes every time.
Flavour of the week.
Yeah. So, one time we might go down there and spend a weekend, doing upper body stuff with minimal kicking. And then another time it might be reversed.
Yeah.
But I do think down there in Sydney, they do spend more time on the lower body.
Yes.
Because just having a look at the students and what some of them are capable of is
they've got that lower body dexterity and
it's pretty impressive. And that might come down to the individuals. They
might favour those techniques.
Yeah. But I've found with Sensei Rob, he probably works to his strengths.
Absolutely, and he's been a fan of boxing in the past, hasn't he?
Yes. I think he's trained in a bit of boxing. So, if you're able to see the man, he's quite
burly up top, isn't he?
Yes. So his fists are
like lunch boxes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And that's obviously spread to the students and it's just something that's happened.
Are there any other martial arts you can rattle off that particularly intrigue you?
Yeah. I hadn't really...
Like, let's say for whatever reason Kyokushin died overnight, you had to find something to fill that void. What would you be your top 3 go-tos?
I think judo.
Yes.
Would be one.
Yep.
That's something I've looked at from afar the last couple of years.
And what element of judo?
I like all the throwing.
Okay.
The just smashing people into the ground.
Yeah.
The hip throws, the shoulder throws, everything that I've seen with it sort of impresses me a bit. I have a few friends who back in New Zealand, I think they compete on a circuit, and just watching some of their videos and things they put up, and sitting back quite impressed with everything.
Yeah.
I don't obviously know too much about it. I mean, I have to look into it a bit more, but that's one martial art that impresses me.
I believe Sosai had a black belt in judo as well, didn't he?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was up there in that, I think. Yeah.
Another one. I think an obvious one, jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And to be honest, I wasn't always a fan of it, simply because a lot of people I was hanging around were talking about it non-stop.
So you're talking about traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu?
And
Brazilian?
And Brazilian.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I was probably judging it before I even knew it.
Yes.
I kind of thought, this is a bit much.
Yep.
I don't want anything to do with this, and without looking into it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as the years went by, I looked into it a bit more and
gain that bit of better perspective that comes with age often.
Yeah, and I thought, oh wow, this is actually pretty good.
Yes.
You know, and then looking at the UFC and any mixed martial arts
It's had a massive impact and influence on that, hasn't it?
Huge. And I started to wonder why, and then I looked into it a bit more, and I thought, yeah, well, this is legit, and this is the real deal. So that's probably the second one. Third one
doesn't even have to be a third. Oh, yeah.
I can't really think of a third one.
Yeah.
Weaponry is coming to mind.
Yep.
Anything with weapons.
Yeah. Is there a particular weapon that draws your interest?
Basic weapons, like a bow, bow staff, or is it the Kali sticks?
Yes.
Those look quite fun. Just anything really basic.
Yeah.
You know, I like probably like most martial artists, swinging a sword around, or seeing people swing a sword around, and having watched those ninja movies as a youngster, you know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. There's something very elegant and almost iconic about a sword, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Especially like the Japanese katana.
Yeah.
There's just something very powerful about that image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think every young kid always gravitated towards. The first stick you'd pick up, you'd start swinging around like a madman. Yeah. So your eldest son currently trains in the dojo. What age did he start?
He started when he was 7.
Okay.
And initially I thought, for some crazy reason I had in my head, that's too young for him to be doing that. I don't know why.
But on the flip side of that, what age are parents putting their kids in rugby?
Well, that's exactly
right.
Which
is arguably more traumatic.
And I thought about that afterwards, because we actually put him into rugby league when he was 5. So, you know, it's a bit contradictory.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. And I didn't realise that until years later. And I had this funny thought in my head. Oh, you know, I think I'll start him when he's 11 or 12, when he's a bit more mature. And,
Even though there are other kids in the dojo under the Young Lions program still training at that age and even younger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just had it in my head that I was too young.
Did the missus agree or disagree, or didn't have an opinion?
I don't think she really had an opinion on it. She wasn't too bothered whether he started then or later on. But he hadn't been doing anything sport-wise or, you know, extracurricular-wise for, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years.
Okay.
And I thought, I can't have him sitting around doing nothing.
Yes.
I really can't. He's just going to...
turn into a statistic.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, just sit on the couch after school every day and watch TV.
Awesome thumb dexterity.
Yeah. Massive thumbs.
Yeah.
And then, so I thought, oh, well, you know what? I'll just take him along and to see if he likes it.
Yep.
And if he doesn't like it...
Stiff, you're going to do it anyway, boy.
Yeah. And, you know, thankfully there were other kids who were around his age, maybe a little bit older.
Yep.
And yeah, he really enjoyed it. Him, like myself, when I was that age, was quite shy and, you know, an introvert.
Yep.
So yeah, that kind of crossed my mind on how he would go. But I also thought, well, you know, if he likes this will probably draw him out a bit more.
Absolutely.
And, you know, make him come out of his shell, so to speak. Yeah. So that was when he was 7, and that was 2014, I think it was November 2014.
How would you say that has not only created a greater bond between you two, but would you say the training has enhanced it somewhat?
Enhance the relationship, you mean?
Yeah, like you've got a special bond with your boy
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have had unless you'd sort of trained under the same dojo as him.
Yeah, that's right. We were pretty close beforehand, and that having us training together, it's brought it like
cool.
a lot closer. And it's not only the time spent in the dojo or on the mat, it's even the drive on the way,
of course,
there, and the drive on the way home, when we get to talk about.
Yes, you tap into that half an hour or 45 minutes for you where you start thinking about, okay, what are we going to do tonight?
Yeah.
And on the flip side, on driving back, we can improve on this.
Yes.
We can do that.
All of that, and I'd ask them questions. How do you think you went tonight? And what do you think you want to do tonight? What do you want to get better at next time?
Yep.
And even things nothing to do with karate, just how's your day going, son? How's school?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Bit of extra bonding time.
Yeah, just all aspects of it.
Yep.
Great. And it's time. It's time spent with, one of your children.
Yeah.
Which
can never be negative, can it?
Oh, never.
Has your wife commented or noticed improvements in your son purely because of, I guess, characteristics or traits that have come out after the karate training?
Yeah.
Like, can you say his discipline's improved?
Yeah.
Obviously his hand-eye coordination as well.
He's always on the improve.
Yep.
Like all of us are. But particularly for him, I think the discipline thing, like in terms of when we're at home, making your bed, doing things when you're asked, doing your homework after school every day, even when we go to, and this is an ongoing thing, even when we go to the dojo, getting your bag ready, making sure it's ready so that when we do need to go, we can just pick up your bag and
time management and
walk
organisation.
straight out. Those aspects particularly, personality wise, growing.
Yep.
And has grown a lot.
Yes.
Because of that. And I think it's helped him training with a variety of different children and adults.
Yes.
Because, like I said, he's quite shy, or was a lot more shy, and training with different people and different personalities, and that has helped him, I think, better himself.
Definitely.
And especially when he transitioned from the Little Lions kids class up into the adults class.
Yes.
So that's like a
massive step.
Step. And initially I thought, this might be too much for him. He might think he has to keep up with all the adults and do 1,000 kicks in 5 minutes or whatever it may be. But myself and Sensei Rob have said to him, you don't have to keep up with the best person in the class because you're 11 and they're 35.
Yep.
So there's a difference. Just remember
do your
that.
very best.
Yeah. And just do better than you did last time.
Yep.
And like you just said, just do your best.
Yeah.
That's all you can
do.
do.
I think that's quite an added bonus for the adults too, because in my mind, seeing those up and comers there trying their heart out, I think it's very inspiring. Have that mix, because when I used to train, it was only ever one mixed class of you had kids that were 4 or 5 right up to the guys who were 60, and I just think there's something about that mixed community. Yeah, all body types, all ages, all genders. It was really good. Yeah, everyone just trying their heart out.
Yep.
The core of the podcast, mate, the grading and the training.
Ooh, here we go.
What I want to talk about. So when you first started, or when was it, training in Kyokushin? Sensei Rob's obviously mentioned, he's like, hey, Jermaine, you should go for your Shodan. You should start thinking about Shodan in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. when was it that really cemented in place in your mind, like, I am going to have a crack at this, or I'm going to do it? It's, yeah.
Probably quite late in the piece,
Okay.
to be honest.
Yeah.
From memory, I think from about green belt upwards.
Okay.
That was when I first went down to Sydney for a grading.
For your brown?
For my senior green, I
Yes.
believe it was.
Yep.
And that's when I got a understanding of what I would need to do.
Where the intensity needs to be.
Yeah, and where I need to get to
Yes.
to be able to possibly achieve that.
Yeah.
That was probably the first time that I thought, oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can get there. Previous to that, I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest.
Okay.
I just wanted to show up to training,
Yep.
do my thing, and go
Yep.
home.
Yep.
And it was probably even less than that when I first started. When I was a white belt, I was probably worried about or wanting to get that next colour belt. I need that next belt.
Yes.
And then, that after a while
It wears off, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And it wasn't until, around that green belt sort of stage and going down to Sydney, I thought, maybe I can.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe when you think, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
Because I spent a long time sort of, I don't want to say stuck in Brisbane or stuck in the dojo, but I kind of, and this is not a bad thing, was kind of just worried about myself, and I've just got to get to the next belt, belt, show up to the next training night,
Yes.
pass the next grading, all of that. But kind of a funny or a different sort of a way of looking at it once you realise, okay, yeah.
So in contrast to that, years ago, you're going through the motions, you're turning up, doing your training, eyes on the next belt. Fast forward to now, what's your mindset now?
Now I think, well, back then I didn't really have that long-term goal.
Yes.
Like back at the start,
Yep.
I didn't have, okay, I'm going to get to black belt. We need to do this, this, and this to get there. You know, that was non-existent.
Yep.
Now I do have the long-term goal.
Yes.
But it's not something I think about all the time. I've set it and I've put it in the distance.
Then you've got your bite-sized chunks to...
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
So, and going back to kind of going through the motions, but with a different perspective and a different attitude.
Yep.
And going back to what I was saying earlier about being better than yesterday, I try and take it one training night at a time, or a step at a time. Okay.
Yes, brilliant.
I need to do this right now, put all my concentration and energy into this right now.
Yep.
Then maybe we can move on to that once I'm satisfied.
Comes
this
down
is
to
good
that
enough.
journey of 1,000 steps, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
what it is.
And that's what I am getting better at doing, and I think for me it makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
I mean, I kind of wish I'd done that earlier in the piece. It might have made things a bit different. Not saying better, but different. But I was a different person.
Yeah, and at the same time, you don't know then how that would have influenced or changed the character you are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean the road's not always supposed to be as easy as possible, is it?
No.
Sometimes the adversity, and that's actually one thing I was going to bring up with your son training, that I think there's a real void in society at the moment. Kids and people in general, especially adults, they don't fail enough at things. They don't do things that are not only physically exhausting and demanding, but mentally. Like they don't get completely gutted, pulled down to really question their values, question what drives them. Everything's just so easy, and there's nothing that really challenges people. And I think that's super important for kids to learn what failure is, how to fail, and more importantly, how to bounce back from it, how to learn from your failures and go forward and apply those principles to the rest of your life. Yeah. Rather than you see all these middle-aged people who have never had to do a fucking hard thing in their life. And, you know, you just you don't want to, but you do. You judge them, and you sit there and you think, well, you know, what have you done? Can you tell me what drives you when the chips are down? You know, when you're, whether it be, go back to the military mindset, whether you're soaking wet, you've only got the people next to you can depend on, you know, and the chips are down, what are you going to do? Or, you know, the sweat is rolling for, in your case, you know, your left arm is nearly fucking paralysed and someone's there trying to tee off on your head, you know, and I bet I think you just mentioned before the podcast started, what, you wanted to quit 5 times throughout the grading, something like that? Yeah, like people have no concept what that is like, you know?
No.
People are so quick to quit at the first sign of mental, physical hardship, anything. You know, David Goggins says it best, everyone quits at 40%.
Yes. Yeah. One of my favourite humans.
Yeah, we don't really know what our capability and our potential is. Leading up to your grading in December, we'll go back. Was this your second attempt?
It was.
Okay,
yes.
So tell me about the first one. When was that?
The first time was a year prior. We had gone down to a seminar in Ballina and Lismore.
Yes.
That Hanshi was taking. So I think there was myself and maybe 2 or 3 other students plus Sensei Rob went down.
Yes.
And without blowing too much smoke up my backside, we got told we were quite impressive and, you know, everything was looking really sharp. And Hanshi quietly said to Sensei Rob, why don't you think about bringing Jermaine down,
pushing him up the ranks
to the black belt grading in December, which is December 2017.
Wow.
And Sensei Rob had told me that. I thought, wow, really? Okay, well, that's awesome. Is this real? And so we sat down for a while and talked about it and started making plans of where we needed to be, or where I needed to be, and how we were going to get there, and sort of just a rough plan, and we kind of refined it along the way, but along the way, we were doing extras, and outside of our normal dojo class time, we were doing Saturday mornings, very early Saturday mornings, for an hour and a half. Just physical stuff, you know, a good sweat session. And I sort of took it upon myself to push myself extra hard that day for some reason. I just felt compelled to really get in there and
So this is days, a few weeks before the grading?
No, this is
early days,
a few months before.
Okay.
Maybe even 3 months before.
And
I had trouble with back injuries.
Okay.
Previous to that, which had troubled me. Well, have troubled me throughout the years in karate and in work and everyday life. And this particular exercise we were doing squats with a training partner on our back. So they jump up. And, of course, I picked the heaviest guy and started doing squats. And I was feeling okay for the first few, and then a few things started moving about. And
fatiguing and, yeah.
Yeah, and I started not feeling so great.
Yeah.
It's particularly in my back.
Did you do the masculine thing though? And yep, she'll be right. Keep going.
I did.
Yeah.
Stupidly,
Yes.
and Sensei Rob actually asked me on a number of occasions. He said, "Jermaine, are you okay? You look like you're struggling. Is your back all right?" Yep, of course it is. Yep, don't worry about me. And I kept going, and then he'd ask again, and I'd say the same thing, and so we finished the session, and I was fine afterwards, probably because I was quite warm. And then I think it was the next day, or maybe a couple of days after, I could hardly walk.
Wow.
Simply because just that weight and that pressure on my back had put just too much...
Just compressed your discs.
Strain on my discs,
Yep.
which are already degenerated and quite... thin as they are, it just felt like it destroyed my back, and my legs felt like they were on fire. And I think I took a week or so off work and had to go get MRI scans and doctor's visits. And
obviously no training for that fortnight or weeks, whatever.
No, and the doctors advised that I didn't do any serious sort of training for the
Certainly
next...
don't do any full contact gradings in the next 6 months.
No, and they said that, and I was thinking,
of course, doctor,
sure?
I'll listen to you.
Yeah, okay, right. And I thought about just ignoring it. I thought, it'll be all right. It'll be fine. I'll just put a Band-Aid on it and move on.
Yep.
And then I actually thought about it, and I was having a chat with Cherie, and we were looking at a few things, and it sort of crossed my mind, well, if it's this bad now and I keep training on it,
yes,
and when I get to the grading, it's going to be an intense day, and if something happens there and I get seriously injured, I'm fucked.
Yep. There's months off work and potentially ending your martial arts.
And I didn't want to think about that. I just
of course
tough it out, as a lot of males
anyone with
do.
testosterone in them does. Yeah. Which unfortunately 90% of the time is at a detriment to your own health, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's only, certainly as I've got to the age where I am now, and I've certainly carried my own fair share of injuries, and it's certainly one thing I'm drumming to the kids and the wife. If you're injured, just take that extra week or two off to rehabilitate, rather than push through the injury, then you've got to take your 6 or your 8 weeks off. Yeah.
And there's a time and a place for pushing through injuries and stuff like that.
I think that's when you're between 18 and 21.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. When growth hormones on your side and all that sort of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or unless you've got a good budget with testosterone replacement therapy, or which I don't, and it's pretty hard to come by in Australia. So keep going with that. You had your injury.
Yeah. So had the doctor's appointments.
Yes.
Had an MRI, had a CT scan. And I'd actually had one previous to that, a couple of years beforehand, because it had played up at work and it had gotten worse.
Okay.
Probably not just from that specific morning of doing the exercise, probably from the wear and tear of work as well. But what I had done had just sort of
aggravated the absolute crap out of it.
Yeah. And so they advised that I didn't do anything to aggravate it even more.
For how long, or just indefinitely?
Indefinitely, until I felt better. But then, I was also getting opinions, 6 months, 3 months as well. And I was sort of like, oh, shit, what do I do? Yep. And I didn't want to give up on going for that grading.
The opportunity had been given to you,
because it was an opportunity. I've been invited down. It's not everybody gets invited down,
Can't come, I got a sore back.
Yeah, I mean, and that crossed my mind. I didn't want to seem ungrateful or anything, but I pictured myself saying that to Sensei Rob, and I thought, oh, that sounds really pathetic. Maybe I won't tell him.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had to tell him. I had to say, look.
But obviously he knew.
Well, I had said, look, I'm having trouble with my back. I've had all this stuff and appointments and everything, and I'll talk to you at training.
Yep.
And then I came to the decision. Look, I can't do it, man. It's not worth the risk. And I felt pretty bad.
Absolutely.
Not only for myself, but for him as well, because he put X amount of time into me over the years, and particularly of around that time, extra stuff. And I thought that was such a waste of his time. I was pretty down about it. I didn't show it or say it so much.
But can you possibly see now, from his perspective and anyone else on the outside looking in, it's not so much a waste of time because it's just a constant reinvestment. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're at that brown belt level, you're not going to, it's very unlikely you're going to leave the system. Yeah. You would have left the system at blue, yellow, green, whatever. Yeah. So, but I understand what you're saying about letting people down.
Oh, I didn't think of it at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't think of the previous 5 or 6 years before that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of then and there.
The here and the now, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, man, I'm really letting everyone down. I let myself down, blah, blah, blah. And, it just wasn't a nice kind of feeling.
Yep.
But in saying that, I didn't want to dwell on it for too long because I knew that would affect me. Yeah,
take mentally. You down a dark path, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, man, well, what if it gets so bad I stop going to training? And so then I had to, piece by piece, turn those thoughts around.
Yes.
And get better, or get to a stage where I could come back to training, and whether it was just watching or doing very minimal. Yeah. And
so how long did that process take, Jermaine, when your back was what you would call now your 100%? That was probably 3 or 4 months, I think. Okay.
It's a bit of a blur around then. There was a bit going on. I took a bit of time off training. I didn't do anything. Yes. Because I just felt that bad. And I didn't
that is the problem with back injuries. It just affects everything. And
then I came back, and it kind of felt like I was starting again, because you know when you stay away from something for so long, like we were talking about earlier. Yep. And then you come back, that void starts to get filled back up. Yes. But you feel like I felt like I was kind of starting again, or had been bumped back further down the path. Sure. Okay, I've got to catch up now. Yep. I've missed out on so much.
So you tend to increase your own intensity and just push that extra bit, don't you?
Yeah. But at the same time, Cherie's in my corner and Rob's in my corner as well, saying, just take it easy.
There's a back specialist there somewhere.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt it again. Yep. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, right. They're right.
Disaster strikes when obviously Sensei Rob had a motor vehicle accident earlier in the year. Yes. And that not only through your training, but pretty much everyone's training through the ringer a bit. Yeah. What was the plan from there? Did you guys have a sit down, a discussion? What are we going to do?
In terms of
your training, getting you ready for your grading?
We did a few times, yeah. Yep. At first, when it first happened, I didn't think it was that serious.
The severity of his injury?
Yeah. Yep. And I'm not too sure if he did either, because it has obviously gotten worse. Yes. And so I kind of didn't really think much of it. I thought, yep. He'll be all right.
Yep, he'll push through. Yeah.
And as time went on, as the months went by, it started getting a bit worse, and we'd talk a bit after class about various things, and he wouldn't really say a lot about it.
Yep.
You know, once again, the typical testosterone thing. But eventually, it came about how bad it was and was getting.
Yep.
And then we talked more on where we were going to go for myself for that grading, what we were possibly going to do. But then a lot of the time, because of all the things he was dealing with, like all the meetings,
medical appointments, everything.
Yeah, all of that would throw it out basically.
Yeah.
And so we'd say, okay, we'll reschedule. We'll do this, and this at this time.
Yep.
And we'll have a look at this and that. But then it got to a point where he was that busy with everything he was dealing with, plus doing karate a couple of nights a week for, 2.5, 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
He just didn't have time
Yep.
to do that extra stuff. So I was thinking of myself before me and you talked.
Yep.
I thought, well, I'm gonna have to do this myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, if I really want it, I'm gonna have to,
which is quite a daunting process.
pull finger and just do it.
Yep.
And so I had started doing extras.
Yep.
Nothing too extreme to start with.
That was mainly strength and conditioning or technical, a bit of everything?
A bit of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too much, like I said, just to get a start.
Yes.
And get a roll on.
So what sort of month are we talking here, Jermaine? Your grading was in early December. How far out have you started this extra?
That was probably...
Roughly 3-4 months out earlier?
I think 3 to 4.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, but the problem was it wasn't structured.
Yes.
Like I hadn't properly sat down and thought, okay, I need to do this day.
Or I need to peak here. Yeah.
And I don't know if that was from my inexperience or not having sort of had to work to such a goal.
A strict, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even just being slightly overwhelmed.
Yeah. And, there was a lot going through my mind.
I bet.
And all of that.
Yeah.
And then, that's when me and you started having a chat.
A bit of background. I spoke to Jermaine one night after training, I believe, and just offered to throw together, I think at that stage it was a 9 or a 10-week program.
Yeah.
Something just to mainly increase your strength and conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of spoke and got together every Sunday and went through some technical applications of the syllabus, which is, I think, in hindsight, more for my learning than yours, mate, which was good. And then got stuck into these kumite rounds. And I think one of the trademarks of the Kyokushin black belt is the 40, on paper it says 40 minute and a half kumite rounds.
Yeah.
So to put that into perspective for people who don't have a karate or even a martial arts background, these are bare knuckle full contact rounds. The only restriction is you can't strike to the face with arms or hits to the groin. So the intention in Japan at any or even any knockdown tournament over the world is you're trying to knock your opponent out with head kicks. So it's renowned around the world, Kyokushin being the world's strongest karate, for that fact. And the 40 kumite rounds at a minute and a half is just a bit of a loose minute and a half, as we'll describe.
Yeah.
But we gradually, every Sunday, I think we started maybe at 15 rounds and then every week just added 5 rounds progressively. I won't go too much into the program I did because it's not very interesting, but did your nutrition change leading up to the grading?
It did.
Like, you're a bit of a lean, mean-looking individual now.
Yes.
Did you feel as though you wanted to drop weight or perhaps put some on, or what was your sort of process behind it?
I thought about maybe putting some weight on.
Yes.
But...
Because there's obviously some big heavyweights down there you knew you'd be sparring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to be able to take that punishment a bit better.
Yes.
With a bit more weight behind myself.
Yep.
But then I thought, well, that's probably going to...
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably going to affect me in other ways.
More weight to carry or an impact to cardio.
Yeah. And I'm not, at the moment, I'm probably not the most mobile, relaxed person.
Yes.
As it was. And I thought, well, yeah, if I'm putting more weight on, I'm going to be even less mobile.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. How much... This is the psychological training aspect of it.
Mm.
Did you put any thought into that, or was there any meditation or any sort of self-talk, anything like this going through your head?
Yeah. There was plenty of everything.
Yeah, like visualization, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we were talking about earlier, when I sort of first realised that it was possible for me to get a black belt, I quite clearly put in my mind a picture of me receiving my belt from Hanshi.
Yep.
The clearest picture I could think of, and I just kept referring back to that. Yeah.
Yep.
And I could always see it, and so the more I thought about it, the more it was going to happen. It was going to be possible.
Yep.
That was probably the big one for visualization. In terms of other things, for a long time, I've tried to have the mentality of, if you can still stand in sparring, or in any sort of training, you can still do something. You can still work. You can still...
Because we're both of the shared opinion.
Yeah.
Especially in that black belt grading, it doesn't necessarily matter how fit, strong, or however good of a stand-up fighter you are.
Yeah.
They just want to see that no quit element.
That's right.
Yeah, when you're busted, you're broken. Even if you're getting knocked down, you're still getting up.
That's
you're still
right.
getting up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I tried to have that attitude, that mentality, you know. I can still stand up. Why can't I keep going?
Yeah.
You know, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I can still breathe, you know, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Let's keep going, you know. Even if it's just a little bit at a time, or you know, just doing something. You know, why I tried to get into my head, you know, why couldn't I?
Yes.
Whereas I think a lot of people are defeated before they even attempt things like that, and you know, I'm too tired, I can't do it, I've been knocked down, you know, that's the end for me.
Yeah.
You know, I've been hitting the solar plexus, I can't breathe.
Yep.
It's all over.
Yep.
And I just tried to say to myself as often as I could, sometimes all day at work, or, you know, all night at training, if I'm still standing, if I'm still breathing, just keep going.
So that was your little mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. The day of, the weeks of leading up to it, there's obviously a combination of emotions, nervousness, excitement. What did Sensei Rob sort of say to you in the hours leading up, or even the weeks and the months leading up to the grading? Do you have any sort of words of wisdom he passed on to you?
He did, yeah.
Yep.
Quite a number of times we talked about it, because I was, as it was getting closer, I was getting more nervous.
Yes, of course.
Worried, thinking I hadn't done enough, perhaps, even though I thought I'd done a lot.
And looking back on it now in hindsight, do you think you overtrained at all in any aspects?
I don't think so.
Yep, okay.
No.
There were certainly elements of the syllabus you trained on that they didn't even touch.
Yes, and that happens a lot, you know. And that's probably a good thing as well, because...
it's one of those catch-22s, isn't it? Because, you know, if you didn't train it, that's the first thing they'd, hey, let's do this.
Exactly.
No, oh, bugger.
Exactly. And because you'd probably done that element so much,
Yes.
and then it never got touched on in the grading, then you're probably better off for having done that for,
Absolutely.
that amount of time. But Sensei Rob, he had a lot to say
Yep.
to me because, it was getting closer week by week, day by day. And, I'm looking at the calendar. Oh, shit, it's in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Oh, no. Have I done enough of this? Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Can you have a look at this for me, Sensei? What do you think I should do here? What if this happens?
Yep.
And I didn't think I would be like that, but I perhaps I was thinking about everything that could go wrong.
But second to that, I think that comes down to your nature as a perfectionist when it comes to your technique as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been taught as well.
Yes.
To aim for perfection.
Yes.
Whether you're having a bad day or not.
Yeah.
You still got to aim.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep that high standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I wanted to do down there. I just wanted to do it the best possible way I could.
Yep.
And of course, that led to thinking about other things and worrying a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But Sensei just reassured me, it's going to be fine.
Yep.
And like I alluded to earlier, I was thinking of just a day. I was thinking, it's all that matters is what happens on the day.
Yes.
And I hadn't thought about the previous, X amount of years I trained.
Yep.
And he kept reminding me of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was good because I stopped and I thought, that's 100% true. I hadn't thought about it like that. Which, after training all that time, I would have thought of that sooner.
Yeah.
But
it's funny because basically the moment you walk on that dojo floor when you're a white belt, everything is pretty much aiming towards that black belt grading in a perfect world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you do have all your own experiences to draw upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could definitely easy to get that tunnel vision and, oh shit, what am I doing here? The big day's here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Robbie had said to me a number of times, you wouldn't have been invited down if they didn't think you were ready.
Yep.
I wouldn't have recommended or said that I think he's ready also.
Yes.
He wouldn't have put me in that position to make a fool out of me or what some of those people are like.
Yeah.
To set you up for failure. So that was very reassuring. I tried to keep that in mind,
Yep.
I am ready. Yeah.
So big day, fly down to Sydney. What do you have for breakfast?
On the day?
Yep.
Had a bowl of oats.
Yep. So sorry to put this in context for the listeners. Obviously, it can vary anywhere between 5 to 7 hour grading, something like that.
Yeah.
And there is generally none or very little drink breaks, anything like that. So hydration and nutrition plays a pretty important part into fueling up on the day because it's a pretty grueling series of hours that are ahead.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So sorry, oats?
Oats, I think I had a few extra things in there. I added in some handful of blueberries.
Nice.
I think there might have been some chia seeds and some other sort of seeds in there as well.
Yep.
I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
It was straight off the shelf.
Yeah.
And I think I had a green tea.
Yeah. So was hydration levels pretty good prior?
Yeah, I drank a lot of water the previous 2 days.
Yep.
I think the day before 3 to 4 litres.
Yeah, okay.
And before that, maybe 3.
Yeah. So weather conditions down there would have been typical Sydney summer, like probably high 20s.
Yeah.
Low 30s. You're in second story of a building, I believe, in a pretty crammed
Yeah.
dojo, so it's
a lot of body heat.
Yeah. Okay. How would you describe the grading comparing it to a normal Tuesday or a Thursday or a Saturday training session? So you obviously go through your Kihon cutters were done as well.
Yeah.
Kumite is obviously last. Pretty stock standard in that regard.
Yes, but expanded on.
Yes.
For the various grading.
So not only for techniques as well, but repetition of techniques?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Especially at the beginning, like what we would do in a normal Kihon session.
Yep.
Just cycling through all of those different techniques 50, 60, 70 times.
Yep.
For maybe that first hour or so.
Yeah, okay.
Just to get warmed up.
Then did you get techniques pulled apart or random questions thrown at you? Why are we doing this? Name this technique. What was it?
Not
so much of that?
Not so much.
Okay.
Which was something I was really worried about.
Yep.
Because I thought, maybe I haven't done enough of that. But it also just depends on the day.
Yes.
What the Shihans and Hanchi,
yep.
What they think, what they know that you know.
And what they see.
And what they see.
Yeah.
So if they're satisfied that you can do this properly and you look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Bullshit baffled brains, isn't it?
Sort of, yes. Yeah. But, they'll also talk to your instructor. They would have talked to Robbie a few times and, have you guys done this? Have you been doing this?
Yeah.
Tell me what he's like.
Yep.
So, once again, it wasn't just about then and there. It was, what had been done previous.
Yeah. How's his homework looking? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Were there any surprises in the grading that caught you off guard?
In terms of technique or
yes. Yeah, let's go with that.
No.
Okay.
No, I thought I had covered everything pretty well.
Yep. So in terms of preparation for the syllabus, obviously at the end, looking back on it now, you're 100% prepared?
I like to think I was. There was actually, now that I think about it, there was a couple of things that I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just had skipped my mind. It was clearly quite there in the syllabus, but I thought, I know that well enough.
Right, okay, that's what it was.
And so I concentrated on everything else.
Yep.
And then this one thing...
Which was?
Brought up. It was a spinning Moashigeri.
Okay.
Which I thought was something I didn't have to know. Because I thought it was for a higher grade black belt.
Okay.
But a few of us got pulled up to do it. And I'm not too sure if that was...
So was it just the guys grading that got pulled up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I'm not too sure if that was to see if we actually knew it, because they would just say it in Japanese.
Yes.
And you'd have to think fast. Okay.
Rehearse it and off you go. Yeah.
And I'm not too sure if they just wanted to see if we knew what they were talking
about. Could recollect the data and
Yeah, or if we actually knew it,
yes.
Knew what to do. And thankfully... I think I listened pretty well, and
you must have, mate. You got the black belt.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's one of those kicks. And so I got up, and I thought I did it all right.
Yep.
For not having practiced it that much.
So, give me an example. How many reps did they call through? Like 10 or 20 or something?
I think because there were a few of us, and they wanted to
pick apart everyone's technique, or like did they have you up individually, or just the guys that were doing their black belt grading?
Individually, for certain things.
Yep.
To put us on the spot in front of everybody.
Yep.
But they also wanted to probably not spend too much time,
of course,
on particular things. But I think it might have been 5 to 6 times.
Yeah, okay.
To do this thing. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but.
Oh, when there's 100 pair of eyes on you and you're nervous already? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I thought I'd executed it pretty well. And then, of course, I got told, Yeah, no, that's not how we do it, Jermaine. Do it again.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, what have I done wrong? Okay, I'll change it up. I'll jump higher. And I thought, okay, yeah, I've jumped higher. I've jumped like a foot higher.
Yep.
And of course, Hanshi says, "What are you doing? That's not how we do it." And I've got my head down thinking, am I really messing this up that bad?
Yep.
And I did it a few more times, and basically got made to look like a kind of a fool. I mean, I didn't do it completely terrible.
Yes.
It was just a couple of things that.
So the technique you're talking about in English, is it a turning backside kick or turning back spinning kick or a jumping back spinning kick?
Jumping
Right, okay.
back spinning kick. Yeah.
Yep.
And like I said, it's not something I'd done that often.
Yes.
Because like I have said, kicking was I had to spend a lot of time on.
And it is quite an exotic and fancy kick.
Yeah. It's not. It's something we obviously need to know, but it's not something you'd pull out.
Yep.
9 times out of 10.
Exactly. Unless you're on a movie set.
Yes.
Yeah. Doing your fight choreography. The kumite. Obviously, I think this is the deciding factor of obviously any black belt grading.
Yeah.
And as we've already alluded to, it's not so much if you can fight 40 guys back to back. It's more how much of that no quit attitude have you got locked inside your head. Yeah. So a couple of questions I want to find out. How much of a factor did the strength and conditioning play by the time you get to your kumite, which is obviously 3 or 4 hours in? How much you got left in the tank?
That's the thing. Previous to the grading, I may have even been told by yourself, but other instructors in the organisation, Sensei Rob, Sensei Alex Lloyd, and I think Sensei Mark and Sensei John as well from Lismore and Ballina, had previously talked to me about it being a marathon.
Yes.
It's not a sprint race.
Yes.
You don't go hell for leather for the first hour and then you're gone.
Then you got nothing in the tank.
Yeah, so I had to consciously not gas myself.
Yep.
Within that first.
Go at it like a slow, methodical pace.
Yeah. But also
keep that intensity there to show you are defending yourself and intelligently attacking and all that sort of stuff.
And even though I think I did that pretty well, I kept that intensity high, but for a long period of time, even though I got to the point of the kumite, I was still pretty wrecked.
I bet.
Not completely so that I couldn't spar.
Yep.
But, a lot of energy had been burnt and
was
tired and thirsty and hot and all of that, which is why they have it.
The whole idea, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's how I tried to think of it. I wasn't holding back, but previous.
Yep.
But I wasn't going 100 miles an hour. Either.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I tried to approach it.
So obviously there's names down in the Sydney dojo, heavyweights, particular students who are more adept at kumite than perhaps other aspects of karate. Mm-hmm. You see them across from you. How do you prepare for that? Do you just think, okay, let's just bring on this ass kicking. I'm just going to get in that happy place and lock the door and not let anyone in?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. There's no escaping. Yeah. You can't. Well, you could if you wanted to fail your grading, just walk out the door and see you later.
Not get an invite back.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But because I had come so far and I was so close. Yes. I just had the mentality, you can't run away. You've just got to face this.
Definitely.
You've just got to take whatever punishment gets dished to you. Don't take it personal.
Yes.
As well, because I myself probably at times, small times, have thought, yeah, this guy's out to hurt me on purpose.
During your training or just that grading?
No, during training over the years. But I've also seen other people take it quite personal as well.
Yes,
like,
okay.
So during like a normal training at the dojo, when we do sparring, it's basically play fighting, right?
Yes.
We're not out to seriously hurt each other.
You're not trying to take others' heads off, yeah.
No, because everyone has to work, go to school, has lives to live outside of the dojo. So I always make it a point to think of it that way during normal class time. But
yes,
during this grading, I didn't take it personal or anything. It was just something that I had to go through.
Yes.
That's what Sensei Rob kept saying to me. It's just something you have to go through.
Yep.
You just have to do it.
Yep.
Whether it's extremely hard or you find it kind of easier than you thought it might have, which I didn't.
I don't think anyone would dare say that anyway, would they? Let's be honest.
It was just something I had to do. And in the later rounds of those 40 fights, that really played a big part.
So 40 rounds, when would you say, and I don't want to use the word easy, but when did it really start to take a toll on you, not only physically but mentally? Like, would you say the first 5 or 10 are pretty standard?
Yeah.
How was it structured? Did they keep all their strong big guys for the last 10?
Not necessarily.
Yep.
No, they. I tried not to pay too much attention to how it might go.
Just one after the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tried to just think of it as, just spar the guy who's in front of you.
Yep.
You know, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to think, okay, well, maybe they're going to do it in 5 to 10 blocks. You know, the first 5 will be this intensity, then it will go up, and then it will go down.
Yep.
But I knew if I thought about that too much,
you're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah. So I primarily tried to just take it one fight at a time. But I noticed the intensity lift quite a bit. Probably in the last, I want to say, probably in the second half.
Yep, okay.
Primarily the last 15 to 10.
Yep.
It was...
so was it all grades going through sparring you? Or mainly brown and above, or what was it?
All senior grades.
Yep.
I think there may have been a couple of senior yellow belts, but that was very early on.
Yeah, okay.
Because they got to sit down and they were done for the day. As the time went on, I got to fight the more senior members of Kima.
Yeah.
And it just got harder and harder and harder.
Yep.
Mentally and physically.
I bet. Going back, a lot of the sparring you and I have done, one of my critiques I've had of you, especially when you fatigue, and I'm sure every man and woman does it, is you tend to turtle up and not jump off that train tracks.
Yep.
You always stay very lateral.
Mm-hmm.
Was that going through your head? How did you combat that? Did that play a part in your grading?
It did. I tried to keep that in mind from the start.
Because one thing I noticed, especially on a couple of your videos, how small the dojo was, and because there was 4 people grading as well, that compacted it down a bit more. Yeah. So you didn't have that massive amount of room to switch and jump around and do what you wanted to do?
No. And early on, I had the mindset of move, get off the tram tracks. And I thought I was doing okay.
Yeah.
And I was obviously less tired, less fatigued.
Yes.
Less beaten up.
Yep.
And so, as you'd expect, as the fight went on, things slowed down.
Absolutely.
Started moving less, taking more punishment.
Yep.
And the more punishment you take, the less you move.
Slow down more and more.
And, you know, it wasn't that I forgot that I needed to move. It's just that
Body can't do it.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was just physically and mentally exhausted.
Yes.
Yeah, my mind wanted to, but just my body.
Yeah.
Well, probably my body and my mind wouldn't let me.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest.
Yeah. Any injuries? Obviously, I will put some of the videos up. But your left arm looked like it had taken quite a bit of damage in those last between 30 and 40 rounds.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Because I have a natural fighting pose with my
Left arm extended.
left arm forward. So that obviously puts my left shoulder forward.
Yep.
It was just a massive target
For kicks and everything.
everything. Primarily punches. So there were a few people I was sparring that just kept
So
hammering.
obviously, as people are mirroring you, they're coming in with some sort of left cross or something over to your shoulder to open up your body.
Yeah. And that's my natural go-to stance, right?
Okay.
So I'm not a southpaw.
Yep.
Although at times I try and switch it up and change, but when you're physically and mentally gone, you
revert back to your natural everything, don't you?
Yeah. And of course that got picked up on, and that was, you know, the first thing that they obviously saw, and just kept wailing away on it, and just hammering it time after time after time. And it wasn't very nice.
So in that regard, obviously it's nearly 4 weeks post-event now. No permanent damage to your shoulder?
I don't think so. Not that I know of yet.
Like that, yep. Yep, you do rotations and raise it above your head?
Yeah.
How many days did that take to recover?
It had a fair amount of bruising
Yep.
on there, which is unusual for me. I don't seem to bruise easy for some reason. So that means it was quite
Smashed.
significant.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably 4 to 5 days.
Yep.
I would say.
Yep.
It there were initial bruises on there, and then it got a bit worse a couple of days after, and then it sort of subsided after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Explain that feeling. Yama is called last round.
Wow.
What's the torrent of emotions that go through you there to think, fuck, I may have just done this?
Well,
because look, I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're right.
Your last round was more like 2.5, 3 minutes of absolute punishment. I believe you were knocked down once or twice.
Yes.
But within a second and a half, you're back up on your feet.
Yep.
Left arm looks dangling like it's held on by a tendon, and you're just taking a fuckload of punishment. You're just getting lit up.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually quite a struggle to watch. It's quite confronting for someone who's a mate to see getting the absolute shit beaten out of them.
Yeah.
It is really difficult to watch, and I would imagine Sensei Rob's in the same boat. And even, what's it like for you watching that video? Because you know firsthand how fatigued you were, how much of a psychological part it's played, how physically fatigued you are.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you know you're about to get your black belt. You know you've gone through the ringer and you've come out on the other side of it.
Yep. Watching that, I don't actually remember a lot of it.
Yeah,
to be honest, I was that far gone. I was in another world.
Yeah.
But I do remember in previous rounds having trouble hearing when the rounds had ended. So a lot of the time they would go on for 10, 20 seconds longer. And I remember at the last round...
so sorry, on the flip side of that...
Yeah.
Your opponent didn't hear it either? Or because you just kept going, they thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to keep going, or was there no sort of second or third reminders, hey guys, the round's over?
I don't think either of us heard it. It might not have gone on for that long.
Okay.
It felt like that long.
Yeah, I bet.
But I remember it being quite noisy because it is quite a small dojo.
And there's a few gradings going on.
Yeah. And the call to finish the round probably wasn't.
Yeah, and they are even quite tricky to hear on the videos.
Yeah. So I remember a few times neither of us heard it, and we just kept going for a little bit longer.
Yep.
Which didn't help things at all. And I remember one thing I remember about that 40th fight. I remember thinking, did they just say stop? You know, is that the end?
Your mind's starting to play tricks with you.
Is that real?
Yep.
Did they just say that?
Yep.
And then, there was a lot of applause and clapping, and it's a hard sort of a feeling to describe.
Yep.
A lot of relief.
I bet.
Like after sort of 30 seconds or so, when you get your breath back and you come back
that
to
adrenaline
to reality.
And, yeah.
You're still thinking, shit, have I actually done it?
You ready to fight again?
Yeah. Is there any more they're not telling me about?
Yep.
Or, an amazing feeling, confusing, but also a lot of relief as well. A whole range of emotions.
Yeah.
Good and some bad.
Yeah.
Bad in the sense, why did I just do that? That was, I'm going to be...
In regards to what? Questioning
Questioning
past
what...
techniques or sparring rounds, or what was it?
More so with the sparring,
Okay.
why did I just put myself through all that punishment?
Right.
Which sounds kind of silly now because...
Now it does because you know what you know, but
Yeah.
let's say hypothetically you'd failed, you'd probably continue to play on that thought.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I do something like that?
Yeah.
So I imagine most Ironman triathletes say the similar thing while they're going through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How long until Kumite rounds are finished to your presentation, to your belt? Minutes?
Yeah, I think maybe 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So
We...
you had a chance to throw some water down?
yeah, I think so.
Yep.
I can't quite remember. I did something with my mouth guard. Maybe tucked it away or threw it to the side or something. And then...
Sorry, we didn't even talk about that. How much of a factor did that play?
The mouth guard?
Yeah. Not as much as you thought?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I tried to train with it previous to the grading, like you had suggested.
Yep.
And I think that helped a lot. After a while, you sort of get used to it. But the harder you push yourself, the harder it is to get that oxygen in.
Get air through, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it. I didn't really think of it too much.
Yep.
At the time, and I don't think it played too big of a part.
Yep.
I might have been thinking something else at the time. I can't
bet
remember.
you were. Least of your worries, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was good having that mouth guard in as well because I copped a few head kicks and didn't really want to lose any teeth.
Did you see stars at all with those head kicks, or were they just more to let you know, hey, dickhead, your hands are down?
A couple of them I did. Yeah. Particularly...
I mean, that's the other thing as well, isn't it? Because the guys there aren't there to fail you.
No.
They're there just to put you through the ringer.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're there to pull you through.
Ensure you earn that black belt.
Yep.
Yeah, every ounce of dye that goes into that belt is yours.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was good. I knew they weren't out to kill me.
Yep.
They were there to help me in the most physical...
In the warped, twisted way you can think of.
Yeah. We're gonna beat you up for 40 rounds at the end.
Yeah. We'll all be
to
friends
help you
and
out.
go out for a beer.
Yeah.
So Hanshy presents you with your first annual showdown.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom from Hanshy?
Or
just congrats, mate. What is it?
Yeah, it was pretty basic. He sort of joked around with me a bit and said, "Yeah, it's about time you got this." Because you have to pay for the belt.
Yes.
Previous to the day, I'd actually paid for it the year before.
Wow. Okay.
When I got invited that year previous, so I'd have been sitting up there
gathering dust somewhere.
Yeah, and he was giving me shit about that. He said, "Now we don't have to hold on to this thing. You can wear it."
Taking up room on the mantelpiece.
Yeah. And it was exactly like I pictured years previous.
That's all I was going to come back to.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
It was exactly. It was just a mirror image of.
So basically, you had somewhat projected your own destiny in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was. A great feeling. A great feeling. And probably as time has gone by, as the weeks have gone by, it's still setting in.
Buzzing, it's still there?
It is. But it's also, I also think, wow, I really did that.
Yeah.
You know? Or sometimes, did I just do that?
Yeah.
And then I look at my belt, oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I forget because I'm busy doing other things, and I come home and then my belt's there and my certificate's there, and look at it and think, wow, I did do that.
9 downs, that's
right.
Yeah.
And that's not something I thought about too much at the start. You know, I wasn't, like I said, that wasn't the goal
The
at that
ultimate
time.
goal, yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Going forward, what are your future goals, not only in Kyokushin, but also sort of, martial arts obviously ties in heavily to fitness in my mind.
Yeah.
What are your future goals now? Obviously, you've had a very well-earned break.
Yeah. Which I...
Paid for a bit yesterday.
Yeah, paid for it a bit yesterday. So I want to... I actually thought about this before the grading, what I wanted to do afterwards. And a while ago, I thought, maybe I'll just stop at black.
Wow.
Yeah. I
continue training and not grade further, or just cold turkey, see you later?
Cold turkey, see you later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long, up until when were you thinking that?
The last time I thought that was...
Round 1 of the Kumite?
I'd like to say that, but no. Probably start of the year, start of 2018.
Yeah, okay.
I had hit a bit of a purple patch.
Yep.
And...
There was obviously other external influences going on as well.
Yeah, there was... It wasn't anything major, but I just thought, maybe this is the end of the road.
Wow,
been doing this for so long.
Yep.
I'm kind of getting sick of doing it.
Yeah.
And that's just how I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I had been a brown belt for a while. I think I'd missed a few gradings just from
life.
Yep. Yeah. And I thought, this is taking forever. It's getting old.
Shit, don't tell me that.
Just being honest.
Yep. You haven't even got any grey in your beard yet, mate.
It's getting there. And I don't know what turned me around. Actually, no, I do. We went to a seminar in Ballina and Lismore, and Hunchy was there, and Sensei Alex, and I thought, this would be a good chance to get away and maybe change my mind. I don't know. I'm not really sold on continuing for much longer. And I got there, and I had a great time. I had the time of my life. And I think there are a few elements that played into that. I think getting outside of where we train so much.
Yep.
Meeting people I haven't met before, seeing old faces, striking up conversations that I'd left hanging from 6 months previous.
So not even so much certainly some of the training aspect, but also the social and the community
Yeah,
pulled you back in.
yeah. I think so. I mean, it was a solid couple of days.
Yes.
Working on everything.
Yep.
To do with Kyokushin and what we do. But it kind of made me realise how good it can be, how fun and enjoyable it can actually be.
Definitely.
And it wasn't as bad and boring as what I had been thinking.
Yeah, okay.
Which, as soon as I got pulled out of that, I thought, what was I thinking?
Where have I been?
You know,
Yeah.
what was I thinking like that? And like we said, obviously life had happened, and I just got into a different headspace. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm thankful I went down to that, and that kind of pulled me out and turned me around, so to speak.
Isn't it funny that I think that's part of the martial arts journey, isn't it? At some stage, you're either ready to quit or change, or I don't know what it is, and you have that moment where you're like, oh shit, I'm in this for the long term, or just keep pushing and break those walls down.
Yep.
Yeah, or just keep, bettering yourself, sharpening your own skills, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Touchy subject. Any tournaments in the future?
In the future,
Now, we've had this conversation before, you and I, where
we have.
I've often at times spoken about my fear of head trauma, and Kyokushin's certainly no stranger to head trauma.
No.
And the difference between the Tuesday and Thursday night sparring sessions, where everyone's conscious of everyone's ability and to go to work the next day, where tournaments, they're there to take your fucking head off.
Oh, yeah.
Practically, they're there to win.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
I would love to enter a tournament.
There's something not even masculine, but testing your skills.
Yeah.
That's real world combat.
Yeah.
For a karate practitioner. That's as real as it's going to get in a controlled environment without going on a Friday night and, getting on the piss and hitting someone in the face.
Yep.
And you really want to not only test your physical limits, but also that mental fortitude plays a fact in the matter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And that's, for quite a while, I wanted to see what I could possibly be capable of at a tournament.
Yes.
I thought that way about just karate in general. How far can I go with this?
Yep. And
then I started translating that to, possibly a tournament.
Yes.
And, in the back of my mind, I still would like to.
Something that still intrigues you?
Yeah, especially the kumite.
Yep.
It hasn't really crossed my mind that much to do a kata, to enter the kata category in a tournament. Which
is interesting because your kata is just polished. It really is.
Yeah. See, I don't see it that way.
Of course you don't. Yeah.
I always want to get better.
The mind of a white belt, mate. It's brilliant.
Yeah. But as I've gotten older, like you were saying just before, the thinking of the possibility of head injuries and
to be honest, those kumite tournaments, it's a young man's game.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I also have my family to think about.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep.
If I got seriously KO'd,
yes,
they would be.
And you got more weeks off or whatever.
Yeah, then I'm out of work.
Yep.
That affects my family. Maybe the wife can't work because I'm, in hospital or whatever.
You're an idiot and wanted to see how well you do.
Yeah. All those things. All those things cross my mind, but then I also think, what are the chances of that actually happening?
Yep. And on the flip side, just do it once. Yeah. Then you've got that experience to say, even to your kids. Yeah, I did it. It was a good experience. Yeah.
And I think probably now, in some ways now I think it might be a better time to perhaps do it because I sort of understand everything about not everything, more about karate and
The whole process.
of it happening. Maybe now is a good time to do it.
Yes.
Even if it is just once, like you say. But then I think, well, maybe I missed the boat as well. Like you say, it was a young man's game. Maybe I should have done it when I was 27, 28.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of those thoughts go through my head. Yes, no, no, maybe, nah. Okay, yeah, we'll do it. Nah.
Yeah. All right, in your opinion, if Sosai Masayama was alive today, do you think Kyokushin would be different, and how? Because we've seen a lot of traditional martial arts stay the same and don't modernise, where others are constantly revamping themselves and borrowing techniques and refining what they've already got.
Yep. Without having...
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of an on-the-spot question and it can go quite deep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Without having known the man, I would like to think he would have changed with the times and modernised it because, like we've talked about, he came from a few different martial arts.
He's a bit of a pioneer, wasn't he?
And yeah, he pioneered, Kyokushin and what he was doing. So he stepped out of the square, and sort of evolutionised bits and pieces of other things.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that he would have, at some point, thought, okay, we need to keep the ball rolling with this. But I can't say for certain that he would do that because I don't know how much of a, not traditionalist, but how much of the initial system he wanted to keep. This is mine. This is how we do it from now on.
Yes.
That sort of mentality. I don't know if he was like that or not.
Yep.
But
yep.
I'd like to think it would have kept moving along because if you just keep it the same forever, I mean, you don't improve.
Yes,
it's so much. I mean,
it's a very interesting,
it's a tough one.
Not only subject, but if you apply it to any other areas, like you look at medical technology, for example, the advances in that where it's creates more opportunities to heal people and extend life, where you think, well, let's flip that on the head with martial arts. Yeah. You're constantly looking at techniques to disable an opponent or what is the fastest execution method to drop someone on the ground or something like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, Kihon, Kata or Kumite, what's your preference? So Kihon for listeners being your basic techniques, where we're all in the regimented lines, counting numbers, doing techniques. Kata is our practice forms, and Kumite is obviously the sparring rounds. So it's known as the 3Ks in any karate syllabus. What would your preference be, Jermaine? And the second question to that is, has that changed over your years of training?
It has changed. Nowadays, I don't really have a preference, to be honest.
Yep.
I like
everything.
Nice. Probably not equally.
Yep.
But it also depends on the night or where I'm at in the journey.
Yes.
It might change. 1 month we might be concentrating on kata and breaking something right down. Then perhaps the next month we might spend a lot of time like fixing up the real small parts of Kihon.
Yes.
And then another time, we might spend shitloads of time on Kumite.
Yeah.
So it changes, but I like it all.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest.
Brilliant.
But I think at the beginning, when I first started, in those first few years, probably the Kumite. Even though I may not have been that great at it, I just like that physical aspect of getting smashed,
pushing yourself, and
getting smashed and punching on with someone, and because we don't have any punches or elbow strikes to the head, it's a lot easier to stay standing.
Yes, you can tend to push a bit more, and
and see how much punishment you can take.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that when I first started. So I gravitated towards that.
Yep.
And I'll probably still do now.
Yeah.
But as the years have gone on, I've
refined it all.
And gravitated towards the other two as well.
Yeah.
So and I know a lot of people do have their favourites, which is fine. But I like to try and be well-rounded as well. It's not perfect, and it never will be. It's something to aim for always. But I like to try and polish it all.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Any advice, last question, for beginners, anyone on the fence thinking about not only getting into kickboxing but any martial art whatsoever?
Yeah.
Because the biggest hurdle I've often seen people with, they have that fear of being judged the moment they walk into the dojo, or you often hear, when I'm fitter, I'll start when I'm fitter. Like we're all there once.
Oh yeah, we are. Oh, we were, sorry.
Yeah.
It's probably a couple of bits of advice. I think perseverance is one.
Yes.
It's not going to happen overnight or 2 nights or maybe even 3 or 4. Yes, there are talented people out there that improve quickly, dramatically, but at the same time, it takes time.
Absolutely. And
repetition and showing up night after night to be half decent at something.
Yes.
And that may take a year, 5 years, 10 years. And when you're getting up towards, 5-10 years, that's a decent chunk of your life.
Yeah.
But you kind of need, some people need that time to get that good.
Yeah, and even that mental maturity.
Mm. Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
To undertake a significant task like that.
Yeah. And it's not easy.
No.
If it was easy, like the old saying, everyone would do it.
Absolutely.
And everyone would have a black belt and what have you.
Because if you think about it in academic terms, if you've trained at that level, let's say like you have part-time for 7 years, that's like a degree.
Yeah.
Degree qualified in something, basically. Yeah.
Yep. And I think people people find that a bit daunting.
Yes. When you put it in those terms, oh, shit, okay. Yeah. That is quite a chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, except this degree, you're getting the shit kicked out of you.
Well, that's right. And that's not to say that's the only thing you should do.
100%, yeah.
Because there's a lot out there to learn about different, not only martial arts, but everything, life.
Yes.
If we just stayed on the one train track, we're only going
It'd be a pretty boring old life, wouldn't it?
Oh, mate, it would.
Yeah.
I think people sort of thinking that how do I put it? Yeah, it's daunting.
Yes.
Like I said. And you should probably just take it one night or, baby steps, one at a time. Having a beginner's mind or a white belt's mentality is probably a good one. I think especially if you're walking into a place where you're probably not familiar with, whether you've done martial arts or not, you kind of have to just
leave everything at the door.
Yeah, leave it at the door. Forget what you know for the moment.
Yeah,
and start again.
Yes,
and I think that trips people over and gets in a lot of people's way.
Definitely,
because over the years I've seen
people come and go.
Yes, a lot of people come and go, and mostly because of their ego.
Yes.
They may have trained in another style or the same style in Kyokushin, but years ago, so they want to immediately come back and go
Pick up exactly where they
straight
left
to
off.
the top.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite work like that, especially if you're new and nobody knows you, who you are.
Yep.
It takes time to judge and assess, where you're at.
Yes.
And whether you need to start again or whether you do go straight back up to where you were.
Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of people leave because they thought, well, I'm better than what you think I am, and I've got a black belt in this, and I should be put up here. And
as you mentioned, it's always, regardless of what is holding your pants up, just to maintain that white belt mentality of being the open book and being open to sort of everything. I mean, I always found you could learn so much more off training children because they had that mental plasticity where they could pull techniques apart, and they would often throw things at you where you were so untrained they would catch you off guard. Yeah. Which is kind of a danger when you get to the white belt adults who come in and will throw wild techniques, and you're like, oh shit, I've got to be really careful here.
Probably not too much more advice than that, just be humble as well.
Yes.
I think that goes along with the white belt mentality, I think.
The big positive for me of anyone wanting to do martial arts, and this so more taps over to people who want to get fitter and healthier in life, is the beauty of the martial arts is you get fit and healthier while you are learning a new skill. So that for me is the massive one. It beats running or walking or whatever you want, fill in the blanks. But if you can learn that skill, and you won't even know how much it's shaping your life until you actually stop and analyse and think about it. Yeah, right from the people you meet through to the conversations you have and how you conduct yourself. End of the interview. Thanks, mate. I'm just going to give Sensei Rob a massive plug. So if anyone wants more information about Kima, that's at kimaa.com.au, and that's got a list of all the training times and dojos around Australia. So any queries there, shoot Sensei Rob a message or contact him on Facebook. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to assist for anyone who wants to train in the Brisbane area, but otherwise plenty of information up there. Thanks for listening. I'll update my Facebook page accordingly when I've got another guest. Thank you.